It is 2:47 in the morning. The White House stands silent under a moonless sky. The last tour group left hours ago. The offices are dark. The hallways are empty. Outside, a single guard walks the perimeter, his footsteps muffled by the grass. Inside, the building should be still. But if you were to walk those corridors right now, if you were to stand in the dim light of the second-floor hallway and listen, truly listen, you would hear something. A footstep where no one is walking, a door closing in a wing that has been locked since sunset, a voice barely audible, speaking words you cannot quite make out. The White House is never truly silent, and those who work there, especially those who work the night shift, know this. They know that America's most powerful building holds more than just the living. It holds the past. And the past, it seems, is not always quiet. This is not folklore. This is not legend passed down through generations and distorted by time. These are documented accounts, events recorded in diaries, letters, official testimonies, and interviews. Presidents have spoken of them. First ladies have acknowledged them. Staff members, security guards, and guests have reported experiences they cannot explain. What you are about to hear are the real unexplained events that have occurred inside the White House. Events that suggest the building remembers, that it holds within its walls something more than history, that the men and women who shaped a nation, who lived and died within those rooms, may have left something behind, not just their legacy, but their presence. The White House has stood for over 2 centuries. It was first occupied in 1800 by President John Adams and his wife Abigail. Since then, it has been home to every American president. It has witnessed triumph and tragedy, war and peace, birth and death. Abraham Lincoln's son, Willie, died there in 1862, succumbing to typhoid fever at the age of 11. William Henry Harrison died there in 1841, just 1 month into his presidency. Zachary Taylor died within its walls in 1850. The weight of these deaths, combined with the immense decisions made in those rooms, decisions that sent men to war, that altered the course of history, has created an atmosphere that many describe as heavy, oppressive, as if the building itself remembers what has happened within it. Those who have worked in the White House, particularly those who have spent time there alone at night, speak of a feeling, a sensation of being observed, not by cameras or guards, but by something unseen. They describe walking down an empty hallway and feeling certain that someone is walking behind them, turning to look and finding no one there. They speak of cold spots that appear without explanation, of doors that open when they should be locked, of voices that echo from rooms that are empty. These are not the stories of ghost hunters or paranormal investigators seeking attention. These are the quiet, reluctant admissions of professionals who have no reason to lie and every reason to remain silent. The most frequently reported presence in the White House is that of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln, who led the nation through its bloodiest conflict, who bore the weight of a divided country and the grief of a dead son, is said to walk the halls still. His ghost has been seen by credible witnesses spanning more than a century. The sightings are consistent in their details. A tall figure, gaunt, dressed in period clothing, standing by a window or walking through a hallway. Sometimes the figure is transparent. Sometimes it appears solid, real, until it vanishes without explanation. The earliest documented sighting occurred during the administration of Grace Coolidge in the 1920s. Mrs. Coolidge was the first to publicly acknowledge seeing Lincoln's ghost, though she was not the first to see it. She reported seeing a figure standing at a window in the Oval Office, looking out toward the Potomac River. The figure was tall and still, silhouetted against the light. She described a deep sadness emanating from it. When she moved closer to get a better look, the figure faded, becoming less distinct until it disappeared entirely. Mrs. Coolidge was not a woman given to fantasy or exaggeration. She was known for her practical nature, yet she spoke of this encounter openly, stating that she was certain of what she had seen. During the 1930s and 1940s, under the administration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the reports increased. The White House during this period was a place of constant activity. The Great Depression and World War II meant the building was occupied at all hours of the day, with staff and officials coming and going at all times of day and night. It was during this time that some of the most credible sightings occurred. Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady, used the Lincoln bedroom as a study. She never claimed to see Lincoln's ghost, but she spoke frequently of feeling a presence in the room. She described it as a sense of someone standing just behind her, watching over her shoulder as she worked. The feeling was persistent enough that she eventually stopped using the room for extended periods. She told friends that she believed something of Lincoln remained in that space, though she could not say what.
But the most famous encounter from this period involved a guest. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands stayed at the White House during World War II. She was given the Lincoln bedroom. One night, she heard a knock at the door. Assuming it was a staff member, she rose from bed and opened it. Standing in the hallway was a tall man in dark clothing from another era. She recognized him immediately from portraits and photographs. It was Abraham Lincoln. He stood there looking at her with an expression she later described as deeply sad. Queen Wilhelmina fainted. When she regained consciousness, the hallway was empty. She reported the incident to President Roosevelt the following morning. Roosevelt listened without surprise. He told her she was not the first guest to see Lincoln's ghost. He said it calmly, as if discussing the weather. President Harry Truman, who lived in the White House from 1945 to 1953, also reported unusual occurrences. Truman was a skeptical man, practical and grounded. He was not prone to superstition. Yet in letters to his wife Bess, he wrote about hearing footsteps in the hallway outside his bedroom late at night. The footsteps were slow and deliberate, as if someone was pacing. Truman would open the door to investigate and find the hallway empty. He mentioned this more than once in his correspondence, always in a matter-of-fact tone, as if reporting an odd but undeniable fact. On one occasion, he wrote that he heard knocking on his bedroom door at 4 in the morning. When he opened it, no one was there. The knocking happened again the following night at the same time. Truman documented this, but offered no explanation. During the Eisenhower administration in the 1950s, a member of the White House staff had an encounter that was documented in internal reports. The staff member, a housekeeper, entered the Lincoln bedroom early one morning to prepare the room for the day. As she opened the door, she saw a figure sitting on the edge of the bed. The figure was tall and thin, with a lined, weathered face. She recognized the face from the many portraits that hung throughout the building. She screamed and fled the room. Security was called. The room was searched. It was empty. The housekeeper refused to enter the Lincoln bedroom again. She was reassigned to other areas of the residence. When questioned, she insisted on what she had seen. She was not the type to fabricate stories. She was shaken by the experience and spoke of it only reluctantly. The Kennedy family, who occupied the White House from 1961 to 1963, also acknowledged the building's strange atmosphere. Jacqueline Kennedy spoke in interviews about the White House feeling inhabited by the past. She did not claim to see ghosts, but she described walking through the residence at night and feeling as though the building remembered everyone who had ever lived there. She said it was not frightening, but it was undeniable. A heaviness in the air, a sense of presence. She mentions that certain rooms felt different from others, as if they held something that could not be seen but could be felt. One of the most detailed accounts from this era comes from a Secret Service agent who was assigned to the overnight shift. The agent was stationed on the second floor near the Lincoln bedroom in the early hours of the morning. The building was quiet. The family was asleep. The agent heard footsteps approaching from down the hallway. He called out, identifying himself, assuming it was another agent or a member of the staff. There was no response. The footsteps continued, steady and unhurried. The agent stepped into the hallway and saw a figure walking toward him. The figure was tall, dressed in dark, old-fashioned clothing. It moved with a slow, purposeful gait. The agent called out again, more firmly this time. The figure did not respond. As it drew closer, the agent felt a sudden and severe drop in temperature. The air became cold enough that he could see his breath. The figure passed within feet of him, and as it did, the agent saw its face clearly. It was the face of Abraham Lincoln, gaunt, lined, unmistakable. The agent stood frozen as the figure continued down the hall and turned a corner. When he followed, the hallway was empty. He reported the encounter to his supervisor. The supervisor told him he was not the first agent to see it. During the Reagan administration in the 1980s, President Reagan's daughter Maureen and her husband spent a night in the Lincoln bedroom. Both reported seeing an apparition. They described a transparent figure standing near the fireplace, visible for several seconds before fading away. They were both awake. They both saw it. They reported the incident to the Reagans. President Reagan, known for his humor, joked about it publicly, but those close to him said he took the report seriously. The Reagans' dog, a small spaniel named Rex, would often stand outside the Lincoln bedroom and bark at the closed door, refusing to enter. This behavior was consistent and occurred only at that location. The dog showed no such fear anywhere else in the residence. The most recent widely known sighting occurred during the Clinton administration in the 1990s. A member of the household staff entered the Lincoln bedroom late one evening to ensure the windows were closed before a storm. As he turned to leave, he saw a figure standing by the window, looking out. The figure was tall and thin, with a distinctive profile. The staff member froze. The figure stood motionless for several seconds, then faded, becoming less solid until it vanished. The staff member left the room immediately and reported the incident. He was a man who had worked in the White House for many years. He was not easily shaken, but he refused to enter that room alone again. But Lincoln is not the only presence reported in the White House. There are others, presences that cannot be identified, phenomena that occur with disturbing regularity. The sound of footsteps is perhaps the most commonly reported occurrence. These are not the footsteps of staff moving through the building during their shifts. These are footsteps that occur in empty hallways, in locked rooms, in areas where no one should be walking. The footsteps are described as heavy and deliberate. They echo through the corridors as if someone is pacing or walking with purpose. They have been heard on the second floor, in the East Room, in the basement, and in the private residential quarters. During the Coolidge administration in the 1920s, a staff member was walking past the East Room late at night when he heard footsteps inside. The East Room is the largest room in the White House, used for formal receptions and events. At night, it is empty and unlit. The staff member opened the door and turned on the lights. The room was vacant. He walked through it, checking behind furniture and curtains. There was no one. As he turned to leave, the footsteps began again, this time behind him. He left quickly and filed a report. The report noted the incident, but offered no explanation. The East Room has a long history of strange occurrences. It is the room where the bodies of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy lay in state after their assassinations. It is also where Abigail Adams, wife of the second president, John Adams, used to hang laundry to dry. The White House was unfinished when the Adams family moved in, and the East Room was one of the few spaces large enough and warm enough to dry clothes. Abigail Adams's ghost has been reported in this room and in the hallways leading to it. Visuals describe a woman in a cap and old-fashioned clothing, walking with her arms extended as if carrying something. The figure always moves toward the east room. When approached or called to, it vanishes. A housekeeper during the Taft administration in the early 1900s reported seeing a woman in period dress walk through a closed door leading to the east room. The housekeeper followed and entered the room, but it was empty. She described the figure in detail to her supervisor, who identified it as matching descriptions of Abigail Adams. The supervisor told the housekeeper that she was not the first to see her. Another frequently reported presence is that of a child. This is believed to be Willie Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's son, who died in the White House at the age of 11. Willie's death devastated his parents. Mary Todd Lincoln held seances in the White House in an attempt to contact his spirit. Whether she succeeded is unknown, but what is documented is that Willie's presence has been reported ever since. During the Grant administration in the 1970s, staff members reported hearing the sound of a child laughing in the upstairs bedrooms. The laughter was bright and joyful, the kind of sound a young boy makes while playing. But there were no children in the White House at that time. The sounds occurred during the day and at night, always in the same area where Willie's bedroom had been located. In the 1920s, during the Coolidge years, a maid entered one of the upstairs bedrooms and saw a young boy standing in the doorway. He was dressed in clothing from the 1860s. He stood silently, looking at her with a serious expression, then turned and walked down the hallway. The maid followed, but the boy had disappeared. When shown portraits of Willie Lincoln, she confirmed that the boy she had seen resembled him. She described him as thin, with dark hair and sad eyes.
As recently as the Obama administration, a member of the household staff reported hearing the sound of a child's footsteps running down the second-floor hallway late at night. The staff member investigated but found no one. The sounds occurred again on subsequent nights, always at the same time, always in the same location. The staff member reported the incidents but requested anonymity. The reports were filed and archived with dozens of others describing similar events. There are other phenomena, cold spots that appear suddenly in certain rooms. The temperature drops so quickly and severely that people can see their breath. These cold spots have no apparent source. The heating and ventilation systems are checked and found to be functioning normally. Yet the cold persists, sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours, before dissipating as suddenly as it appeared. A guest who stayed in the Lincoln bedroom during the Clinton administration reported waking in the middle of the night to find the room freezing. The guest could see their breath in the air. They checked the thermostat, which was set to a normal temperature. The vents were blowing warm air, but the room remained intensely cold. The guests wrapped themselves in every blanket they could find and waited for morning. By sunrise, the temperature had returned to normal. When the guest mentioned the experience to staff, they were met with knowing nods but no explanation. Doors opening and closing on their own is another frequently reported phenomenon. Doors that have been locked are found standing open. Doors that were left open are found closed and locked from the inside. Security checks these doors repeatedly and finds no mechanical failure, no explanation for how they could move on their own. A Secret Service agent during the Bush administration reported an incident involving a bedroom door on the second floor. The agent was conducting a routine patrol around midnight. As he walked down the hallway, he heard a door open behind him. He turned and saw that a door which had been closed was now standing open. He approached and looked inside. The room was empty. He closed the door and continued his patrol. Minutes later, he heard the door open again. He returned and found it open once more. This time, he locked the door from the outside using his key. As he walked away, he heard the lock turn and the door swing open a third time. He documented the incident in his patrol log, noting only that the latch appeared faulty. But the door was inspected the next day and found to be in perfect working order.
Voices are also reported. Conversations heard in empty rooms, whispering in hallways where no one stands. The voices are always indistinct, just clear enough to know they are voices, but too muffled to make out words. They occur most frequently in the basement corridors and on the second floor. A Secret Service agent during the Carter administration was stationed in the basement during an overnight shift. The basement of the White House is a labyrinth of corridors, storage rooms, and mechanical spaces. It is dimly lit and silent at night. The agent was walking through one of the corridors when he heard a man's voice speaking in a low, conversational tone. The agent could not make out the words, but the voice was clear and distinct. He called out, identifying himself. The voice stopped. He walked toward the area where the sound had originated and found nothing. The voice resumed, this time from behind him. He turned, but the corridor was empty. He reported the incident. His supervisor told him that similar reports had been filed before. Voices in the basement, conversations in rooms that are empty, no source ever identified. Another disturbing phenomenon is the sound of knocking. Not the sound of someone knocking on a door to be let in, but knocking that comes from inside locked rooms, knocking on walls, knocking on floors, rhythmic and persistent. During the Hoover administration in the early 1930s, First Lady Lou Hoover reported hearing knocking sounds in her bedroom late at night. The knocking came from the walls. It was rhythmic, 3 knocks, a pause, then 3 more knocks. It occurred several nights in a row, always at the same time. Mrs. Hoover had maintenance staff inspect the walls. They found no structural issues, no pipes that could be causing the sound. The knocking eventually stopped and did not resume. A similar account comes from the Eisenhower administration. A staff member heard knocking coming from inside a locked storage room on the second floor. The knocking was loud and insistent. The staff member unlocked the door and opened it. The room was filled with furniture covered in dust sheets. It was empty of people. The knocking stopped the moment the door was opened. It did not resume. What is most unsettling about these accounts is their consistency. The same locations are mentioned again and again. The second floor, particularly near the Lincoln bedroom, the East Room, the basement corridors. These spaces seem to hold something that other parts of the building do not. Whether it is history, tragedy, or simply the accumulated weight of time, these spaces are different, and those who spend time in them feel the difference.
The witnesses to these events are not thrill seekers or attention seekers. They are professionals. Presidents, first ladies, Secret Service agents, household staff, foreign dignitaries. People with credibility and nothing to gain from fabricating stories. Many of them report their experiences reluctantly, aware of how they will be perceived, yet they report them nonetheless, because what they experienced was real to them, undeniable. President Lyndon Johnson, who served from 1963 to 1969, reportedly felt uncomfortable in the Lincoln bedroom and avoided spending time there. Staff members from his administration have said that Johnson would not enter the room alone and preferred to conduct meetings in other parts of the residence. He never publicly explained why, but those close to him said he found the room oppressive. Gerald Ford's daughter, Susan, who lived in the White House during her father's presidency in the mid-1970s, spoke in later interviews about feeling a pervasive sadness in certain rooms. She described it as an inexplicable heaviness, a sorrow that seemed to radiate from the walls. She could not explain the feeling, but it was strong enough that she avoided those rooms. Jimmy Carter, in an interview years after leaving office, was asked directly whether he believed the White House was haunted. Carter, a devout and thoughtful man, did not dismiss the question. He said that the White House had a presence, a quality that was difficult to articulate but impossible to ignore for those who lived there. He did not call it a haunting, but he acknowledged that the building was unlike any other. Even staff members who work there for years and become accustomed to the building's rhythms speak quietly about certain experiences. A housekeeper who worked during the Reagan and Bush administrations said in a recorded interview that she learned which rooms to avoid at certain times. She said some rooms felt heavy, as if the air itself was weighted down. She said she never saw anything she could point to and say definitively was paranormal, but she felt things. Cold when there should be warmth, presence when she was alone, the sense of being watched from doorways and corners. The White House operates 24 hours a day. Even in the middle of the night, there are people working. Security guards patrol, staff members prepare for the next day. Yet those who work the overnight shifts speak of a shift in atmosphere once the official business of the day has ended. The building becomes quieter, but not peaceful. The silence feels occupied. The shadows seem deeper, the hallways longer. One guard who worked during the Obama administration described his first overnight shift in a recorded interview. He said he was told by senior guards to expect unusual sounds and to ignore them unless they posed a security threat. He thought they were hazing him, but during his first week, he heard footsteps that matched his own pace as he walked the second-floor corridor. He stopped. The footsteps stopped. He walked. They resumed. He turned on his flashlight and swept the hallway. It was empty. This happened several times during his shifts. He reported it to his supervisor, who told him to document it in his log, but otherwise not to worry. The footsteps, the supervisor said, were part of the building. Another phenomenon reported by security personnel is the feeling of being followed. Guards describe walking down a hallway and feeling certain that someone is walking behind them. They turn to look, and no one is there, but the feeling persists. Some guards have reported that the presence feels protective, as if whatever is following them is watching over them rather than threatening them. Others describe the feeling as neutral, simply there, observing. One account from a guard during the Clinton years describes walking through the basement late at night and feeling a hand on his shoulder. He spun around, hand on his weapon, and found himself alone. The sensation was clear and unmistakable, a firm pressure on his shoulder, as if someone had placed their hand there to get his attention. But the corridor was empty. The guard completed his patrol, but reported the incident. His supervisor told him it had happened to others. These experiences raise questions that have no easy answers. If the White House is indeed haunted, why? What keeps these presences there? Is it unfinished business, as some believe? Is it the weight of the decisions made within those walls, decisions that affected millions of lives? Is it grief, tragedy? Or is it something simpler and more profound, that places absorb the energy of what happens within them, and the White House, having absorbed over 2 centuries of history, reflects that history back in ways we cannot fully understand? Abraham Lincoln, who bore the weight of a nation at war, who lost a child in that house, who was assassinated and mourned by a grieving country, may have left an imprint so deep that it cannot fade. His presence, reported by so many credible witnesses over so many years, suggests that some part of him remains tied to the place where he lived, worked, and suffered.
Willie Lincoln, a child who knew only a few years of life before illness took him, may still be there, his spirit bound to the home where he played and died. The sounds of laughter and running footsteps suggest a presence that has not moved on, that remains in the place where he was happiest and where he drew his last breath. Abigail Adams, who lived in the White House when it was new and unfinished, who worked tirelessly to make it a home, may still be carrying out her tasks, moving through the building as she did in life, her routine so deeply ingrained that it persists beyond death. And the others, the unnamed presences, the footsteps and voices and cold spots, may be the accumulated energy of everyone who has ever lived and worked in the building. The White House is not just a residence, it is a symbol, a seat of power, a place where history is made. And perhaps that weight, that significance, creates an environment where the past does not fade, but lingers, embedded in the walls and floors and air.
The White House is not abandoned. It is not a crumbling mansion on a hill. It is a functioning, occupied building filled with people and activity. Yet the reports persist, generation after generation, administration after administration. The stories change in their details but remain consistent in their essence. Something is there, something that cannot be easily explained or dismissed. What does it mean to work in a building where the past is so present, where the dead may walk alongside the living? For some, it is unsettling but manageable. For others, it is deeply disturbing. But for all who experience it, it changes their understanding of the White House. It is no longer just a building. It becomes a place where history is not contained in books and documents, but lives in the very fabric of the structure. The question is not whether the White House is haunted. Too many credible people have reported too many similar experiences for the question to be dismissed. The question is what it means that it is haunted. What does it tell us about history, about memory, about the persistence of the past? What does it tell us about the nature of power and the places where it is wielded? Power leaves marks. It changes the people who hold it and the places where it is exercised. The decisions made in the White House have shaped the course of human history. Wars have been declared there, peace treaties signed there, laws crafted, lives altered. The weight of those decisions is immense, and perhaps in a building where so much has happened, where so many consequential moments have occurred, the weight becomes too great to dissipate. Perhaps it lingers, creating an atmosphere that is felt by those who enter. The White House will continue to stand. Presidents will come and go, staff will work their shifts, tourists will walk its public rooms during the day, marveling at the history contained within its walls. But at night, when the building is dim and quiet, when the crowds have left and the official business has ended, it becomes something else. It becomes a place where the boundary between past and present blurs, where those who have died may still walk, where history is not just remembered, but present. If you were to stand in one of those silent hallways at 3 in the morning, alone in the dimness, listening to the stillness, you might hear it. The footsteps echoing from nowhere, the voice speaking words you cannot quite understand, the door opening down the corridor when no one is there to open it. You might feel it, the cold that has no source, the presence that watches from the shadows, the weight of all that has happened in that place pressing down on you. And you would understand what so many have understood before you, that the White House is more than stone and mortar. It is a living archive of American history, and some of that history has not faded into the past. Some of it remains, trapped or choosing to stay, moving through the building as it did in life, unable or unwilling to leave. The dead do not always rest. In the White House, they walk, they watch, they wait. And the building, silent and still in the hours before dawn, holds them all.